What if Christopher Columbus, landing in the Caribbean in 1492, had received not a warm welcome from the locals, but a firm goodbye, along with a flotilla of war canoes sending his caravels back out to sea? Imagine, instead of discovering the Americas for Europe, Columbus returns to Spain empty-handed and mutters, "These islanders clearly don't want guests. And why did they throw corn at us?" And a few years later, the Aztecs and Incas, having united, make it clear to the European newcomers that the New World is not their patrimony. We are used to a history where European colonization changed the Americas forever. But what if the indigenous civilizations, the Aztecs, the Incas, the Iroquois, the Chumash, had not only survived but also repelled all attempts at invasion? What if the New World had remained independent and Europe had been forced to seek other avenues for its ambitions? This topic is fascinating because it turns everything we know about history upside down. Would we celebrate Thanksgiving with turkey, or would Europeans still dream of faraway lands while sitting at a table with potatoes without gravy? And would Hollywood remain, well, Hollywood, or would it become the center of Aztec ritual performances? What follows is a story full of unexpected twists, ironic moments, and reflections on how our world would have changed if the Native Americans had said no to European colonizers. So sit back, grab a cup of coffee, or maybe better, cocoa like the Aztecs, and let's imagine what would have happened next. Fast forward to 1492. Columbus sails to the Caribbean, but instead of a warm welcome, he is met by Taino warriors armed with spears and knowledge of the local currents. They quickly realize that these strange strangers on caravels pose a threat, and they arrange an ambush. Dozens of war canoes surround Columbus's ships, forcing him to flee back to Spain. Columbus returns empty-handed and reports to the kings of Spain. The locals, they are not happy with the guests, and it seems they have some kind of corn cannon. Spain, of course, does not give up so easily, but the first failure makes the Europeans think, maybe the New World is not as defenseless as it seems. Then the events unfold on the mainland. In 1519, Hernán Cortés arrives in Mexico to conquer the Aztecs. But this time the Aztecs, having learned about the Europeans from the Carib tribes, prepare in advance. Montezuma II, the Aztec emperor, unites with neighboring tribes, creating a powerful alliance. They use their numerical superiority, knowledge of the territory, and the tactics of guerrilla warfare. Cortés, who in real history won thanks to smallpox and internal conflicts among the Aztecs, faces a problem here. The smallpox does not spread as quickly because the Aztecs isolate the sick, and their alliance turns out to be stronger than he expected. Imagine Cortés fleeing from Aztec warriors, shouting, "I thought the gold was just lying on the ground here, not being thrown at us." In South America, the Incas put up even stronger resistance. In 1532, when Francisco Pizarro arrived in Peru, the Incas, led by Atahualpa, were already aware of the Europeans and their intentions. Through trade with northern tribes, they obtained horses that the Europeans had brought earlier and created their own cavalry. Pizarro, who in real history captured Atahualpa by trickery, was defeated here. Inca archers and cavalry crushed his detachment in the mountain gorges. Imagine Pizarro, who, as he fled, muttered, "These Incas, they ride horses better than we do. Who taught them to do that?" These early setbacks changed the course of history. Having suffered defeats, the Europeans decided that the New World was too difficult to colonize and focused on other regions. Africa, Asia, India. The indigenous civilizations of the Americas were given time to develop. The Aztecs, Incas, Iroquois, and other tribes form alliances and exchange knowledge and technology. For example, the Aztecs' perfect metallurgy, using Inca knowledge, and the Iroquois, who in real history had the Five Nations Confederacy, expanded into a large union of North American tribes. Imagine an Iroquois chief saying, "The Europeans thought we were just hunting deer, and now we have a parliament." By 1600, the New World has become a continent of powerful independent states. The Aztecs build Tenochtitlan into a vast capital with canals, universities, and temples that dwarf European cities of the time. The Incas expand their empire, creating a network of roads connecting the Andes to the Amazon. In North America, the Iroquois and Cherokee developed trade and diplomacy, creating the Great Lakes Confederacy, a federation of tribes that controls the region from modern-day New York to Chicago. Europeans who do attempt to trade with America are forced to respect its sovereignty. Imagine an English merchant arriving on the shores of America and complaining, they don't want beads for furs, they want real gold. That's outrageous. Technological development in the New World is accelerated by the exchange of knowledge between civilizations. The Aztecs improve astronomy, creating calendars that are more accurate than European ones. And the Incas develop new farming methods that allow them to grow more corn and potatoes. In the 17th century, Native Americans begin to build their own ships, using knowledge from European caravels that they have captured in battle. By 1700, the Aztec fleet was sailing to Europe, trading directly with Spain and Portugal. Imagine an Aztec captain arriving in Lisbon and joking, "We brought you potatoes, but we're taking your compasses, a fair deal." Culture also flourished. Instead of European influence, the New World developed its own traditions. Aztec temples became centers of art and science, where they created a literature that combined oral traditions with written texts. The Incas wrote epic poems about their gods, which became famous even in Europe. In North America, the Iroquois developed a theater, where they staged plays about the heroes of the Confederacy. Religion remained polytheistic, Christianity did not spread, and the New World retained its spiritual traditions. Imagine a European missionary trying to preach in Tenochtitlan, and an Aztec priest responding, "Your God sounds interesting, but we already have Quetzalcoatl, and he has wings." How does this affect modernity? The United States as we know it does not exist. Instead, there is the Great Lakes Confederation in the north, the Aztec Federation in Mexico, and the Inca Empire in South America. These states are global leaders who dominate trade, science, and culture. Europe, having not received the wealth of the Americas, remains less influential. Spain and Portugal do not become empires, and England and France focus on domestic affairs. In the 21st century, Tenochtitlan is a metropolis where skyscrapers are shaped like pyramids, and the Great Lakes Confederation holds international summits in traditional longhouses. Imagine a modern New York called the City of the Great Council, where everyone wears turquoise beads and eats cornbread for breakfast. The economy of the New World thrives on trade between the American states. The Aztecs become the main suppliers of gold and silver, but instead of giving them to the Europeans, they exchange them for technology and goods from Asia and Africa. The Great Lakes Union controls the trade in furs and timber, creating a powerful economic network that connects the North with the South. In the 18th century, the Incas opened trade routes to China across the Pacific Ocean, exchanging potatoes for silk. Imagine a Chinese merchant tasting potatoes and saying, "This is better than rice, but where is the salt?" The social structure also changes. The Aztec Federation implements an education system where all children learn astronomy, mathematics, and ritual dances. The Great Lakes Union develops democratic traditions where leaders are elected based on wisdom, not wealth. The Inca Empire creates a social system that provides food and work for everyone, similar to their real-life historical model, but improved by sharing knowledge with other cultures. Imagine an Aztec teacher complaining, "These children know all the stars in the sky, but they've forgotten how to dance for Quetzalcoatl." The political landscape of the world is also different. Without European colonization, there are no global empires that exploit other continents. Africa and Asia develop on their own, avoiding many conflicts. The American states become mediators between East and West, creating a more harmonious world. But is it perfect? Perhaps without European influence, technology would have developed more slowly, and we wouldn't have the internet. Imagine a modern-day Aztec complaining, "Those scrolls from the Tenochtitlan library are wonderful, but why hasn't anyone invented Wi-Fi?" So what do we have in a world where Native American civilizations have repelled European colonizers? The New World becomes a continent of independent states, the Aztec Federation, the Inca Empire, the Great Lakes Union. Tenochtitlan is a metropolis with pyramidal skyscrapers, where people drink cacao instead of coffee, and in North America, they hold summits in longhouses decorated with totem poles. Europe, which dreamed so much of the riches of America, was left with nothing. And instead of Spanish galleons, Aztec merchant ships crossed the Atlantic. Imagine, instead of the Statue of Liberty, there is a statue of Quetzalcoatl in the harbor, and Thanksgiving is a corn festival where everyone dances to the sound of drums. This story makes you think, how could one battle change everything? In reality, Columbus discovered America for Europe, and this set in motion a chain of events that shaped our world. But what if the indigenous peoples had said no? Would we have lived in a more just world, or would we simply have faced different problems? The irony is that Cortés was so proud of his conquest, but in our history he would simply say, "Well, I guess I underestimated those guys with the corn cannons." And Pizarro would probably still be complaining about the Inca horses. This alternate history reminds us that our world is a shaky structure, where one event can change everything. Maybe we should thank the indigenous people for fighting back, even if history took a different path. If you enjoyed imagining this world with the pyramids of Tenochtitlan and no European colonies, give it a like. It's like saying thank you to the Aztecs for their courage. Subscribe to never miss new stories about how history could have turned around. Write in the comments what you would add to this American world. Maybe a monthly corn festival? Let's figure out together how history would turn around. See you in the next story.